Set up and running. Oh, I might want to plug this up. What's up? Hey, hey, hey. All right. Happy freaking Friday, y'all. Okay. And we back on YouTube too. So finally got the YouTube stream up and going. So for those of you who can't stay the whole time, or whatever the case may be, you'll be able to catch the recordings again on YouTube. I haven't with that, but hey girl, hey. Let's see. We on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Okay, so I am doing good. I've listened, y'all. I'm trying to make sure that everybody get access to all the information at the same time. But hey, y'all. For those of you who are new here, or if you're watching the replay, welcome. My name is Markia. I'm known on social media as the Money Plug. I'm a board certified credit repair specialist and credit score consultant. And I use my platform to teach you guys how to fix your credit and build your credit and all that stuff all by yourself. Just because you can't afford to hire somebody, or just because you just don't know who to trust, doesn't mean you're not entitled to good credit. Um, so I'm feeling so much better. Thank you for asking. I was really, really sick last week. It was like last week and a little bit before that. But I'm feeling like 1,000 times better. Um, no, I'm just feeling really good. So as y'all know, on Fridays, I try to go live as many times as possible on Fridays to answer you guys' questions right before the weekend. And this week, all y'all have been emailing me and messaging me and stuff about is collections, 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 collections. I feel like every single live that I've been doing this week has been talking about collections. So we're just gonna round out the weekend with just another live, kind of answering you guys' questions and then talking about collections for a second. So um what was this, like last week? I think it was, I posted a video talking about how I understand how a lot of you don't want to pay a lot of these companies, but when it comes to removing collection accounts from your credit report, the easiest way to not only remove it but to keep it off is a pay to delete. And a lot of people didn't like what I said. The video went semi-viral on TikTok, and it was met with a lot of vitriol. A lot of people were like, "No, don't pay it. Just wait till the statute of limitations expires," and all this other stuff. Not really understanding what I was saying. So let's go back a little bit and talk about, first of all, what is a collection? A collection is it's an account, pretty much a charged off account that you just chose not to pay. And so instead of the account staying with the original creditor, they thought, like, you know what, I'll see if I can just get some of this money and I'll sell this account to a debt collector. The debt collector has now purchased your debt or bought the rights to collect on your debt. That is completely legal to do. We've all seen the social media videos kind of floating around that's like, "Oh, you don't have a contract with the debt collector, so they can't collect. It's illegal to even be putting things on your credit report." None of that is true. Even medical debt, it is not illegal for medical debt that is in collections to report as a collection on your credit report. um Now, once an account enters collections, there are certain things that have to happen. Literally, it's written in the law that has to happen. Within 5 days of purchasing your debt, the company has to reach out to you and say, "Hey, look, how you doing? We are such and such. We bought your company, and we are reaching you in an attempt to collect the debt. Here's our contact information. You have 30 days from this date, so the date on the letter, to dispute the validity of the debt. If no such dispute is entered, we're going to go ahead and start reporting to the credit bureaus." That letter initiates what is known as the dunning period. This is that weird time period when you know that a debt is owed. However, it's not reporting to the credit bureau. So this is between you and them. I like to call that spot the sweet spot when it comes to collections, because you can dispute it. And then even if you lose the dispute, you won't end up with that nasty comment that's at the bottom that kind of rubs it in your face that you lost the dispute or anything like that. And a lot of times, this is the best time to negotiate a pay to delete because it's not even reporting yet. So you're not even asking them to go out of their way and do anything different because they're already not reporting to the credit bureaus. So if you can catch them in the dunning period and then negotiate the terms of a pay to delete, then all they're going to do is just not report it at all. Now, when you have collections, you lose points for having the collection account, period. You don't lose points the more you owe or the less you owe or how many people you owe. You lose points with the fact that you owe money to a company. And so Paying it outright, that's not going to get you any points because, again, you didn't lose points for how much you owed these companies. You lost points for the fact that you owed these companies. Um, a lot of people will tell you, oh, don't pay the collections, just wait for the statute of limitations to expire on the debt and they can't do anything to you. But for some people, they can't wait like that. The statute of limitations is how long a company has to sue you. Now, for some states like, Texas, for example, where it's 4 years. Now, after the statute of limitations expires, there's still a 3-year gap that this account is going to still be reporting to the credit bureaus. Meaning, even though they can't take you to court, this account will still report and it'll still be costing you points. A lot of people come to me and they're like, you know what? I just want to get the collections off. How can I get the collections off my credit report? Because that's the only way to get those points back is by removing the account from collections. Now, you can dispute the account off. That's completely valid. However, one thing that I really need you guys to understand with disputing, when you dispute, that does not absolve you of any responsibility you have towards paying that debt. It just means it's not going to be on your credit report. And that's very important to kind of annotate because this means that this debt is still owed, meaning they can sell this account to another debt collection company and be like, hey, man, I couldn't collect on it, but you could try your hand and see how it works out for you. And then this account is going to now be reporting on your credit report. And every time a collection pops up, it's considered fresh and it's going to tank your credit score. Now, the reporting time or how long a collection can be on your credit report is dictated by the original account. So this is also where knowing what's on your credit report kind of comes in handy. The reporting time for a debt is set by the date of first delinquency or the first missed payment that led to that account becoming charged off. So even when it's in collections, that doesn't reset. That account still has 7 years from the date of first delinquency. So if it's in collections and the debt expires, like the reporting time expires while it is in collections, then the collection can no longer report. Now, just because it's not reporting does not mean you do not owe. That's something that you guys really kind of need to disconnect. Just because it's not there doesn't mean you don't owe. And there are consequences for the action of not paying it that a lot of people really don't consider. Things like, they could take you to court, get a wage garnishment, seize your assets, and things like that. But again, disputing it and taking it off, and even if it expires off your credit report, does not mean that you no longer owe this money. So some states like Louisiana, the statute of limitations or how long a company has to sue you extend past the reporting time. So after 7 years, yes, the account will go ahead and fall off your credit report. However, there's still a 3-year gap where they could still take you to court. So it's very important that when you guys have collections, you look at the state laws for the state that you lived in when you signed the original contract for the debt. So for my military people, if you were at Fort Campbell and then you PCS over to Washington State, but you got this car in Fort Campbell and that's what the collection is for, it's going to go based off of the state laws for Fort Campbell. So if you don't move around a lot, this is perfect for you. But if you move around a lot, you might got to do a little thinking about where you were when you originally incurred this debt. And then you kind of want to play your hand accordingly. Now, there's three options, right? You can either dispute it, you can either pay it, or you can either ignore it. Those are literally your 3 options right then and there. Now, some people choose to ignore it. They're like, you know what? The statute of limitations has expired. I'm not looking to make a major purchase anytime soon. So I'm going to just go ahead and ignore it. I'm just not going to touch it, which is smart. If you don't want to pay it, you can't identify some kind of inaccuracy in the way that it's reporting, and you're not looking to make a major purchase anytime soon, completely ignoring it is a valid option. Now, if you are somebody who is about to enter the home buying process and you like, look, this collection is costing me points. I really need to get this off of here. I really need to get it off of here. So then your options now become 2. You can either go ahead and pay it, or you can go ahead and dispute. What a lot of people don't know, because they like to lump it together, all you'll hear is paying a collection doesn't get you any points. It's not about paying a collection doesn't give you any points. It's how you pay the collection that determines whether or not you are able to recapture the points from that collection account. And what I mean by that is if you just flat out pay it, no conversation, no nothing, I'm just going to call the number that they gave me and pay it. No, that's not going to get you any points. However, if you negotiate something which is known as a pay to delete with the company, then what that means is in exchange for your payment, they will cease reporting to the credit bureaus. This means the account will fall off your credit report and you will be able to recapture all the points that you lost from having that account. Now, if you decide to dispute that, I mean, the same thing could happen. You could dispute, you could win your dispute, and then the account comes off. It's just that nobody ever tells you about the caveat to that, which is in the event that the account comes off and it is then sold to another company, it could still repopulate, and then you'll have to start the dispute process all over. A lot of people get mad, but I just think pay to deletes are the best option. So you should expect to, I mean, obviously you don't want to, but expect to have to put out a couple dollars. It depends on how bad you want these accounts off your credit report. A lot of people be like, oh, I want to fix my credit so bad, I'm willing to do anything. And then when I'm telling them, oh, well, you have to pay this and you have to pay that, they're like, I'm willing to do everything except that. So you really got to sit down with yourself before you start this journey, and you have to be honest with yourself. How far are you willing to go to get that good credit score? What are you willing to do, and what are you willing to change in order to get that credit score? That's literally what it boils down to. I got a boost of 40 points after your advice to pay to delete. I'm not gonna tell you nothing that's gonna hurt you. I'm really not. New York is 3 years now. Yup, it just went into effect in April. Another state that changed their statute of limitations is Ohio. If you're in the Facebook group, I'm actually redoing I'm literally going state by state so I can redo the statute of limitations PDF that's in the group files. But another state that changed theirs is Ohio. I think Ohio used to be like 15 and it went down to like 8 or 6, and now then it's going down to 4. So there are some states who are really putting their neck on the line for their people, for their consumers. They want you guys to be better protected from predatory stuff like 15-year statute of limitations. Another question that I got today that I actually thought was a really good question, and I did a separate video on it on TikTok, was somebody asked, could they do a pay to delete with a charge off? And no, you can't. If you have a charged off account and you want the charge off removed, you cannot use a pay to delete to do so. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your question. And the reason why is because with a charge off, that debt is with the original creditor, right? The original creditor of a debt has a duty to report the history associated with the Capital One credit card. Capital One has a duty to report the history associated with this account. It's been doing it from day one, not just as soon as you got the charge off, then it starts reporting. So that's why when you negotiate settlements with them, they're like, no, we can't cease reporting because we have to report all of the history associated with this account. You got to understand your credit report is the Carfax for you financially. So they want to warn people about their relationship with you or brag about their relationship with you based off of, the things that you've done with the account. So this is why you can't use a pay to delete to remove a charge off. I have a repossession with Capital One. I co-signed, owed about $6,300. Settlement offer is $1,300. What should I do? So so let me clarify. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you all your options, and then only you know financially what's your best option. Now, when it comes to repossessions, I tell people all the time, 99.99% of the time, if you lose this dispute, they are going to take you to court. So for those of you with repossessions and you really want them off, honestly, your best choice, if they haven't contacted you by now, is don't contact them, people. Leave them where they at. Because you don't want to get sued. You really don't want to poke that bear. Now, if you're looking to settle with them, you just have to understand that the only thing that can reset the reporting time for a debt is a payment. So if you had this account on your credit report for the last 6 years and 7 months, and it's about to fall off at 7 years, I wouldn't suggest a settlement offer for the simple fact that that's going to reset the reporting time for that for that debt. And now it's going to report for another 7 years from the date of last payment. However, if you let's say you applied for something, and whenever you apply for something and you get denied, you get what is known as an adverse action notice, and it has to tell you exactly what exactly on your credit report made them tell you no. And if it said that the debt owed is too high or something like that, so you have to settle, then only pay what you're comfortable paying. Now, obviously, anything less than 100% is ideal, but $1,300 for a $6,300 debt, that is a steal, in my opinion. I personally would take that deal if I could afford it. However, just know, don't reach out to them until you got the money. Don't ask, can you make payments? You want to pay it and be done with it, and then just kind of move on with your life after that. But this person co-signed for somebody, so that brings up like another real quick. Stop co-signing for people. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even see all these questions. So when it comes to co-signing, what a lot of you, nobody ever gets an account like, yeah, I'm gonna get my car repossessed. Like that never happens. Pretty much like it happens accidentally. So when you're co-signing for somebody, it might seem like super easy and oh, it's not a big deal, but it is, because when you co-sign, you're saying in the event that this person cannot pay their bills, I'll pay it for them. Fuck it, just call me. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. And so for every missed payment that this person has, it's going to hit your credit. So then when the car is repossessed, it's going to show that you have a repossession on your credit because you did not hold up your end of that deal by making the payments that they missed. I want to settle mine. I have 2 that I have removed. It's been at least 2 months since my last correspondence with the creditors. Do I ask them for a pay to delete at this point? Do I call or mail? So when it comes to pay to delete, you can do either or. It really depends on how much time do you have. If you're on a time crunch, some people choose to call. The only caveat to that is what I will say is that when you're talking to them over the phone, they can say whatever they want. Even if they say they're recording the conversation, every business that has an interest in them, right? That like they are their first priority. So if a representative says something that's not valid and like, oh my God, I can't believe they said that, a lot of times, and I'm not gonna put it past them, they could corrupt that file and it'll never see the light of day. So you want to protect yourself. So how can you do that? Any written correspondence between you and an authorized representative of a company is considered a legally binding agreement. So if you on the phone and you like, look, I got $100 right now for this account, I will give you this $100 right now if you stop reporting to the credit bureaus. And they're like, yeah, sure, we could do that. Okay, well, can you send me an email saying that upon the receipt of X amount of dollars, and make sure they put on there how much you're paying, you all will stop reporting to the credit bureaus. That's something they can easily type up and send it over to you. Some companies even have it written into their company policy that's usually available on their website. So just do a little research before you reach out to these collection companies too. You never know what you'll find in their company policy. But you definitely want to make sure you get the agreement in writing, even if you call to negotiate the pay to delete over the phone. Does first collection sue? Let me say this. I do not like have a definite list of all the companies that sue, right? It really depends on a couple different things. How much money you owe them and how far they're willing to go to get it. Meaning like how much evidence do they have against you that they really think will hold up in court. My top 3 companies that I know will go toe to toe, and I've seen them go to bat for as low as $600 is LVNV, Midland Credit Management, and Portfolio Recovery. Those 3 companies for sure sue the hell out of people. And so I always tell people, if you have these on your credit report as a debt collector, deal with these first. And they do pay to deletes. Negotiate the pay to deletes with them first. Now you might end up having to pay on the high side, if not 100% of what you owe. However, I would do whatever I got to do to get these accounts, off my credit report and to prevent us from having to go to court. Let's see. Let me make sure I'm answering all the questions. So I call and ask them for a letter stating that if I pay, they will delete it off my report. Yeah, so you're not going to call and be like, well, can I get a pay to delete letter? Because a lot of times they don't know what it is. We, like people in the credit repair community refer to it as that because that's just what the letter is for. You just call and you'll say, hey, I pulled a copy of my credit report and I'm noticing that you all are reporting a debt that I owe. While I am not accepting ownership of this debt, I do, however, need this handled as soon as possible. So in exchange for 30% of whatever it is you're saying that I owe, would you be willing to cease all reporting to the credit bureaus? And if they say yes, perfect. Can you send that over to me in an email while I go ahead and get you guys payment situated? And as soon as I receive that email, I'll go ahead and I'll read off my credit card information for you guys. And that, because that makes it a legally binding document. Any correspondence, any written correspondence between you and an authorized representative, so an employee, right, of a company, is considered a legally binding contract. So then after you pay and you get your little receipt for payment, they'll be like, all right, we'll give it about 30 to 45 business days and you should see the account removed from your credit report. You don't have to wait that long. You can take the copy of the agreement that they sent you as well as a copy of the proof of payment and send it to the credit bureaus. You say, hey, I fulfill the terms of this agreement. Can you go ahead and remove this collection account from our credit report, please? Boom. Yes, wait until you receive the email to pay. What happens if you don't pay a collection and it's on your credit report already? I mean, this is for accounts that are, you can do it for an account that's not on your credit report to make sure that it's not going to show up. Or you can do it for a collection account that's already on your credit report. It doesn't matter. They'll stop reporting to the credit bureaus, which will remove that account from your credit report. And that's the only way to get points back for a collection, y'all, is to take it off. But the goal is to take it off and keep it off, not take it off and keep having to dispute it off. You see what I'm saying? Now, for some people, it just works out. Let's say you are at like the 6-year mark, but you're trying to buy a house halfway through the year. So then what some people will do is they'll dispute the collection because they know the collection is going to come off. And then that gives them a little bit of time to get whatever it is they're trying to get, like a credit card or whatever, to add to their profile. And then the collection will pop back up eventually. And then they'll go ahead and handle the pay to delete, how they should have did it the first time. But for some people, it makes sense to dispute it because they know for a fact that they just need like a specific period of time to like apply for something or whatever the case may be. But and then let's say the 7 years expires during that time when it's off. That means it won't repopulate. So for some people, disputing might seem like the best option for you, and that's completely fine. Everybody's situation is different. What I'm saying is, if you don't have a situation like that, right, then you're definitely going to end up having to kick a couple dollars out. So call and then get it verified through that. No. You're not getting it verified, and you should not be validating any information. When you call, you just say, hey, y'all sent me a letter saying that I owe you money. And I'm not saying that I do, but what I am saying is I need this off my credit. So if I give y'all $100, will y'all stop reporting this to the credit bureaus? And if they say, yeah, that's something we can do, then you'll go ahead and have them send you that email. And then that email plus a copy of the proof of payment, that's going to be enough for you to go to the bureaus and get it removed. My lawyer settled with Midland. They did not report the correct settlement amount. So then you got two choices. You can either be like, this is reporting inaccurately and it needs to be and so you need to investigate it, which is a dispute, right? And you're going to dispute it. But a lot of times what ends up happening is that they just update it instead of removing it. That doesn't necessarily seem like enough to have the account removed. It's enough to initiate a dispute, but it might not be enough to get a removal because you did pay, and technically a payment validates the debt on the account. So they don't really care about that. Now, that's not to say if you already paid a collection, you can still dispute it. So it's reporting wrong, dispute it. You never know what could happen. But if you lose, it's not like it's going to hurt your feelings because technically you already lost the points. You're not going to lose more points. You see what I'm saying? Especially because you already paid it. So you're not even worried about the statute of limitations. Collection company does not want to do a pay to delete. What other options do I have? So a lot of times the only time they don't want to do a pay to delete is if they feel as though they have enough information to prove that you owe all this money. And so I always tell people, if you send in a pay to delete or you call to do a pay to delete, they don't agree to it, force them to do a debt validation after that, because I need to see why you think you too good for my little $100 that I got to give you. To show them, now you got to prove it to me. I was trying to give you some money and then you ain't want to do it. So now you got to prove it to me. And if the debt comes back as valid, then your only option after that is to either settle or ignore it and just kind of hope they don't take you to court. Those are your only options really after that. After it's removed, I should settle, correct? Not necessarily. So what a lot of people don't understand is that a data furnisher at any point in time can report this information as long as it meets that criteria of, being in the reportable window, right? So let's say you dispute a debt off and then you go back to that same company that you just disputed off, like, look, I give you this money. And so they can go back and report that as a paid collection now. They can go back and report that as a paid collection. You want to make sure that you have in your verbiage that you're not going to report this to the credit bureaus if that's what you're going to do. Should account rating show paid on TransUnion and Experian, but derogatory on Equifax on Smart Credit? It's either paid or unpaid. So because sometimes what I have noticed, it'll say like derogatory and it's like a late payment on it, but the account is paid off. It'll just say derogatory because of the late payment history. It really just depends. So I mean, technically that is grounds for a dispute, but ultimately that could just get updated to paid if it is a paid account. No big deal. Just dig a little deeper. It says derogatory. Why is Equifax saying derogatory? Is there anything else on the account that makes it derogatory? um and if you can't find anything to support that, you can dispute it. So if my debt was sold to a new company, how do I get the old company off? Do I have to pay both? That part always confuses me. No. So when so let's say you owe um Dr. Seuss Collection Company. And so Dr. Seuss Collection Company was coming after you and you just was not paying that bill. And so they like, you know what, we just want to sell it to somebody else because I'm not dealing with her. And so then they sell it to LVNV and then you dispute with LVNV and you win the dispute. Then they stop reporting and they sell it to somebody else. The first company has to stop reporting and then the new company will report. You cannot have two collection accounts reporting to your credit report for the same debt. That's illegal. That's technically considered double jeopardy. It was just a collection. Oh, I mean, like I said, so that's technically grounds to dispute, but I don't think that's going to be enough to get it removed. But I always tell people, you never lose points for trying. So, it's just that with collections, a lot of people like they choose not to dispute because if it comes back as valid, that could reset the statute of limitations depending on where they live. So if it's an unpaid debt, I understand your hesitation, and I definitely I understand why you're not going to dispute it if you're not 1,000% sure, which you shouldn't. But if it's a paid collection, try to dispute it off. And you can always ask nicely for them to remove it. And then if they don't try to dispute it off, the worst thing they can be like is no, you already lost the points. I think I saw them still on my credit, but maybe not reporting, but that makes sense. Now, if it's a charge off, so let's say you had a Capital One credit card and that account was charged off and then they sold that debt to Midland Credit Management. That's legal that Midland is reporting and the Capital One is reporting because Capital One is responsible for the history associated with the account. Midland Credit Management is only responsible for the collection and the amount that you owe with them. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm paying and they update as paid instead of leaving it off permanently. The only way to that you can even guarantee that it's supposed to come off and stay off permanently is with an agreement. You need something in writing. I knew you was going to say Capital One, and that's exactly who it was. I was just guessing. What other questions y'all got for me? I don't know why I got the S Club song stuck in my head. Y'all ain't got no more questions? What? Don't tell me that. Y'all know I get off. All right. Well, I know yesterday I didn't do it because I was out running errands. But we talked about doing study sessions for the like the different laws and stuff. And I thought about what y'all asking for me for, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to swing that every Thursday, but I think I am going to kind of merge what y'all have been asking for in a course with the bad credit boot camp that we were already doing, that I've already done previously. And it's the class. Y'all might have seen me post on Instagram recently talk about the class about nothing. So the first class is going to be in June. So I'm probably going to be opening up registration pretty soon. I haven't decided anything outside of what we're going to be talking about. So like I do have a whole section with the credit law, and I think I'm going to allow you can either purchase access to a specific part of the course or pay for the entire course, if that makes sense. It's live, so it's going to be you and me like this talking. None of it will be pre-recorded, and it's going to be over a series of days. When it comes to disputing and disputing properly, it's more than just something I can tell you in like 60 minutes. It's more than something I can just tell you in like an hour. It's going to take a couple of days to really break down the entire process as well as go over rebuilding. So if you are going to attend the entire class, you're going to have to make sure that you iron out that time that week for these courses because they are not being recorded. So if you are not there and you miss it, you miss it. The course size is also going to be small because I want to make sure that anybody who takes the course are able to get their questions asked. I'm real big on small class sizes just so that I can make sure that everybody can get every single one of their questions asked during every class. So that's also something to take into account. My Instagram is THEE Money Plug. They sending questions. I don't think they loaded yet. Does it matter if a term length doesn't show on a paid or a repo? No, it doesn't necessarily matter. But I mean, if it's showing like, if it's a one thing on one and one thing on another and you want to fight it, you can. But with repos, again, tread lightly because they're the number one sued debt. You go poking that bear and it's likely to bite back. How to get late payments off for accounts. When it comes to closed accounts, there's no incentive for them to remove the late payment history. Like there's nothing that you could do for them because they already got the money out of you. So the first thing you could always do is just ask them to update your history to paid as agreed. If they tell you no, then what you could do is you could request a copy of your payment history and force them to validate each individual late payment, like prove I was late type stuff. Or, and I just posted this, the latest video, I used a tactic, violations of the Fair Credit Billing Act. So this is specifically for like lines of credit or credit cards, right? So with credit cards, there's something in the FCRA household that is known as the Fair Credit Billing Act, and it outlines how they're allowed to bill you. If you can find an error in the way that your account was handled, so your monthly statements, if you can identify just anything wrong with anything that they did, you can use that to not only remove late payments off of closed accounts, but you can also use that to remove charge-offs even. So this is why it's super, 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 super important for you guys to start talking about like learning the consumer protection laws. Do you have an idea around what time classes may be? So usually when I did the Bad Credit Boot Camp, we did it around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But it also depends on who actually gets in the class. Once the whole class is filled, that's when an email will go out that will allow y'all to vote on the time period that works for you. And then I'll work with that. Because if I got people on the West Coast and people on the East Coast, I need to make sure that I'm accommodating both time zones. Do you contact the collection company directly to have them validate a collection? Yes, but you should not be doing it over the phone. When you're doing debt validation, you strictly need to keep that in writing because you want to be very careful as to not validate the debt accidentally. The repo is paid off, so there's nothing to sue for, but there's a past due balance, and then TransUnion and Equifax say 72 months, but Experian say nothing. That's fine with the month thing. But if there's a past due balance, that means there's money still owed. So if you have evidence that the repo is paid off, you're going to want to send that into the bureaus to have them update that because the past due balance implies that this is still owed. How to get, I already answered that. Whoa. Student loans are being report while actively on school. Are these supposed to be reported? So if you have federal student loans, you should be in deferment while you're still in school. And so yes, it will still report, but it will report as on-time payment history. Now, if it's not doing that, then it could be that maybe they don't have on file that you're still in school. Maybe something happened with your file. You have to reach out to your loan servicer. Anything regarding federal student loans, your first step should always be go directly to your loan servicer. Okay. Well, for those of y'all who are new here, or like if y'all don't even know what we're doing, my name is Marquis. I'm known as the Money Plug here on social media, and I use my platform to teach you guys how to repair and rebuild your credit yourself. If you got here late, I finally fixed the link between the software I was using and YouTube, so you will be able to watch this on the YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is WWTMPD what would the money plug do? And with the exception of the last like 2 weeks, you should be able to catch a lot of the live Q&A playbacks, as well as if you're active on Facebook. I have a gaming channel up to try to reach more people, but I also have a Facebook group where you could go in and ask questions, catch all the lives recorded. There's some documents in the group files, as well as there's even some free letters in the group files. Should I pay my charge off as bad debt or disputed? What do you mean pay it as bad debt or disputed? So it depends. Disputing it. So just because you dispute an account off your credit report doesn't mean you don't owe. So just because it comes off don't mean you won't have to eventually pay that money. Because I mean that's still a possibility, I guess you could say. But it's all about your particular situation. So if there's something with your charge off or with the way that company handled your account and you feel like you can leverage that for a removal, go ahead and dispute. Now, however, if you don't know if you got a case for real and you really just you want it off, but you just can't identify a way to do so, don't dispute it just because you want it off. That's not a good enough reason for you to initiate a dispute. It has to be an inaccuracy or an error in the way that it's reporting, and you have to be able to leverage that for the removal. Paying it won't remove the charge off. It's still going to report, and it's going to report for another 7 years from the date of last payment. However, what it will do is lower your debt to income ratio, right? Because you no longer owe this amount. And just it improves the profile health, your credit profile health, while not necessarily giving you points for your score. Paid off a car with a refi through my bank and they're reporting the last payment is late, but was in the payoff. So if you have evidence to support that, like it was not late, I have proof here that the account was like they had the payoff, they had the check, I did everything I was supposed to, that's on them, then you submit that to the bureaus as evidence for them to update that last payment. Should high balance be less than balance owed? No. The high balance is the highest this account has ever gotten. And so balance owed, whatever that is, should be less than at or less whatever your high balance is. So for example, if I have $1,000 credit card and the highest balance I've ever had on it is like $600, then my high credit or whatever it is going to be $600. My high balance. It's the high something. High credit, it's high something. I don't think it's high balance. What about the book? I don't see your book on display. I actually don't have any more copies. And low key, I think I got scared the other day because I think I sent somebody my copy of my book, which was so crazy. But for those of you who don't know, I am on Amazon. I'm a published author. Woo! I did a monthly like finance workbook. That's available on Amazon. All you got to do is search my name, Markia Brown, Markia, last name Brown, and it should pop right up. It's called Plug into 2022. And it's just a monthly planner that you can use to help kind of plan your finances out. And in the back, there are trackers to really help you kind of track your debt and the process you've been doing to repair it yourself. But I don't have any more on-hand copies. I'm going to order some. If a collection is paid for a deletion, will that decrease the score again? And is time going to reset? If you get a pay to delete done with the account, no, your score is not going to go down. Your score is going to go up because this account will no longer be reporting on your credit report. So it'll be as if it never existed. So the points that you lost for having it there, you get those back. And then 2, time isn't going to reset because it's deleted. It's going to be completely gone. Let's see what other questions we got. I just want to make sure I'm answering everybody's questions because I'm famous for forgetting to check. What other questions y'all got for me? It was something else I wanted to bring up to y'all. I can't remember what it was. And you should try to dispute student loans while in rehab. So here's the thing about student loans. Let's talk about that for a second, right? Because for some of y'all, removing your student loans is the wrong way to go about it. Yes, if you are in rehabilitation, don't dispute your student loans because they're going to get mad. But For a lot of you, your student loans is the only thing keeping your head above the water, even if it's barely above the water. It's usually the oldest account that you have on your credit report, and for a lot of you, it has the most on-time payment history because at least for the duration of the 4 years you were in college, you weren't making payments, so that's 4 years of on-time payment history that's kind of just been sitting there, right? Um, so even if you have a couple of lates on it, like for a lot of you, your student loans are extremely valuable. So removing them could actually have a worse effect on your credit profile. Just so y'all tracking. The analogy I like to use when I'm doing like credit audits and stuff, you got to think of your house, think of your credit report as a house on stilts, right? A house on stilts and it's floodlands, right? And you know how like some of them houses be having the little poles under it to keep it level or whatever the case may be. Think of all of the accounts on your credit report as poles. So if your student loans is the one, you only got 3 poles and your student loan is one of them, removing that student loan could sink your house. It literally could be the difference between being stable and being very unstable. So definitely analyze your entire credit profile when trying to decide on what's the best way to move forward with student loans. But just flat out disputing it is not always the answer. Just so y'all know. Yeah, my boyfriend just financed a car yesterday and his score went up, and I guess because it's a long-term loan. Oh, congrats. What kind of car he get? Look, tell him come pick me up. But ARS collections, are you familiar if they offer a pay to delete? Advanced resolution services. ARS. I can't remember. I really can't remember. My lips are so dry. We did Carvana. Ooh, fancy. Got it delivered. Y'all got it delivered and everything, or did y'all do the little vending machine where you put the little thing in it? I always thought that was so cool. Not enough for me to go buy a car, but I did think that was so cool. ARS collections. I've never heard anything bad about them. Trust me, it's a couple of them I heard, and people be like, they don't do nothing. They don't let you do pay to delete. But if you're not sure if a company offers pay to delete, you can always first go check their website out, because for some companies, they put in their policies that once something is paid, they'll go ahead and stop reporting to the credit bureaus. And if you don't see anything there, you can always call. I'm like, hey, do y'all do? Y'all, I pulled my credit report and they saying that I owe y'all a debt. I'm not saying I owe y'all a debt, but I'm saying I need it off. If I give you this money, are you willing to stop reporting to the credit bureaus? And if they be like, oh no, this is not something we can do, girl, click. Then y'all can validate that debt. Click. Don't say that, but I'm just saying, do some research. Never hurts. A lot of y'all be joining in Facebook groups. Search ARS and see if anybody was able to ever negotiate one. Because can't nobody tell the truth like customers tell the truth. Because if they didn't get a pay to delete, oh, they gonna let you know. What else? All right, I got all of those. What if you have multiple student loan accounts? Each student loan account is handled individually. So if you have multiple loan servicers, you're going to have to reach out to each loan servicer individually. But it doesn't matter. Like your student loans, even if they all start around the same time, it doesn't matter. For most of you, these are your oldest accounts. These have the most payment history attached to them, even if it's not entirely positive. Like these accounts are valuable to your credit profiles. And if you haven't rebuilt properly since adding these to your profile, then you run the risk of lowering your credit score when you remove them instead of improving your credit score like you intended. When trying to pay a collection for deletion, should we check for validation with collection agents first? Now that's up to you. So typically how I do it is I try to be all nice and sweet and I offer the pay to delete first. However, in the letter, it specifically states that if you decline my offer or if we cannot come to an agreement, I will be forced to ask you for a complete validation of the debt. That's how I do it. It's a million ways to skin a cat. Some people dispute first and then they offer the pay to delete. That is also an option that you have. Doesn't matter. But I figure if y'all was going to accept the pay to delete shit, I might as well negotiate it now. Also, should a Verizon installment be listed under the install category? A Verizon collection be listed under the installment category. So it depends. And I was trying to make a video about this earlier, right? But I I just kept feeling like I wasn't saying it right. So there's two types of companies that can report to like your credit report or whatever outside of the original creditor: debt management companies and debt collection companies. So companies like Verizon and Sprint, T-Mobile, companies that don't normally report every single month, like you usually don't see them on someone's credit report unless it's something derogatory. What I've noticed for them is they tend to hire debt management companies, which is where they hire someone to try to collect the money, but on their behalf. Does it make sense? So it's like they're not collecting for themselves; they're collecting on behalf of Verizon. And so, people can become petty. And so Verizon, since again, your credit report is like your Carfax financially. And so Verizon's was like, shit, well, since normally you're not allowed to see me and we got a bad relationship, I'm gonna make sure everybody see me so everybody know how you really pay your bills or don't really pay your bills in that sense. And so a lot of times with companies like Verizon, Sprint, yada yada yada, they'll try to force the pay, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they're the collection company, if that makes sense. They just hired a debt management company to facilitate in the action of getting the money. Does that make sense? See, I knew I wasn't explaining it right. And I'm glad I didn't post the video because I don't want to confuse nobody. Technically, Verizon or Sprint or whoever is the owner of the debt, but they got another company. Someone said the collection agencies be scamming, so we should check validation first. It's all about prerogative, right? So I'm gonna be honest with you. For some companies like LVNV, Midland Credit Management, Portfolio Recovery, listen, they go to court. Do you hear me? Court. If I don't gotta fucking go to court, I'm not going to nobody court. So the first thing I'm gonna do is a pay to delete. Because if I can get you off just by throwing a couple dollars at you, I'm gonna get you fuck off just by throwing dollars at you. And also, some people are on time crunches, right? So if they're on a time crunch and they can, like, I don't have time to go back and forth waiting for results for disputes and stuff like that. I need to do the pay to delete as soon as possible. There are many outside factors that go into, is a pay to delete first the best option for me, or is a validation first the best option for me? But it doesn't matter which way you go. Um, you know, either way, you should, or hopefully you will have a positive result. The actual lender could still have the debt. That's not true. If it's reporting as a collection, like if it's reporting as a collection from a collection company, then the collection company owns that debt. If it's a debt management company, then yes, the actual lender technically still manages that debt, has that debt. Somebody's managing it for them. I see that a lot often with medical debt as well. Like big hospitals, a lot of times they have like debt management departments, and then the debt management department might be under some other name. But if you win the dispute, the debt will go back to the original creditor, and then you'll pay the original creditor, and the collection will no longer report. Sounds a lot like a pay to delete, right? Because you had to pay so that the account will not. Yeah, patient first uses receivables management. See? And this is why I tell people, when it comes to credit repair, you cannot go into a thing, and I'm not paying none of these motherfucking people nothing, because that's not always the case. Every situation is different. You have to look at the details surrounding your particular account to really narrow down your plan of action. This is why I tell people, like, especially if you're doing DIY, you might want to sit down and really analyze your credit report. This is why I do the audits with people and I really break down the accounts, because yes, this is a tactic that you can use, right? However, is this the tactic you should use, is a question that you kind of have to ask yourself based off the details of your accounts. There's no one size fits all or like a one answer to how to do credit repair. It's all about how your profile looks and the effect that this account is having, the effect the removal of this account could have. How many other accounts do I have to balance the loss of this one, and da 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 da. How do I get Verizon off my credit report after I paid it in full? You want me to be honest with you? It ain't coming off. I ain't about to sit here and lie to you and be like, oh, if you, no, it's not coming off. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you that now. You could dispute it, and then I guarantee you they're gonna come back and be like, nah, dog, that's not coming off. I mean, that's just me being honest. Verizon is not coming off. I paid Verizon. What? Yeah, that's not coming off. Verizon is childish. They want everybody to see that you have a bad relationship with them. My issues has always been the secondary reporting agencies like LexisNexis. So here's the thing. A lot of y'all be getting caught up in this. I be having people like, so should I freeze this? And I'm like, for what? Because if you're disputing it using this strategy, right? So factual disputing is what they're calling it. If you're doing factual disputing, right, then whatever happens is happening at the level of the data furnisher, meaning the same information that you're seeing on Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, it's going to be on all the third-party agencies reporting it as well. So you don't necessarily have to, but if you are disputing stuff with like the secondary reporting agencies, they are credit reporting agencies. So the exact same letters that you would send to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, you would send it to them as well. But you really need to know the difference between the responsibilities of a credit reporting agency and the responsibilities of a creditor. A lot of people get those mixed up. The credit reporting agencies have what is known as like a, how do I say it? What was the analogy that I use? They can verify, but they can't validate. And what I mean by that is like you can reach out to them and be like, oh, I pulled a copy of my credit report and it's not giving what it's supposed to give. Can you investigate to make sure it's reporting properly? Only thing they're going to do is reach out to the creditor, and then the creditor going to be like, yeah, I meant to report it like that. And then they can come back to you and be like, yeah, they said this it. You see what I'm saying? Like the credit reporting agency has no real responsibility with these accounts. It's literally just the creditors who are responsible for that. So if you're disputing it with the creditor, you really won't have to worry about all that. With the new medical law, does this apply to any medical debt paid before June or after? I think it goes from when the law was actually passed. So the law was actually passed I can't remember the exact month date, but I do know that I had posted it. But if from my understanding, it's going to go from the date that they passed it to whenever it actually goes into effect, because the law is already passed. It's just the reason why it's taking so long now is that they had to come up with the best plan to actually enact it. And I think it also depends on the debt itself, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I always tell y'all, trust but verify. Do your research. And don't just look at the federal laws, look at your state laws. A lot of y'all state laws protect y'all from a lot of things, but because you don't know, like you just kind of fall victim to paying unnecessary money or having to deal with unnecessary consequences. Like, for example, somebody on here said it earlier about how New York changed their statute of limitations down to 3 years. Somebody else I know this. And this was very recent, but they were like, man, they suing me. When they called, they were like, yeah, they going to sue me if I don't pay and all this other stuff. Number one, that's a violation of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, because if a debt collector is calling you and saying we're going to sue you, they're telling you something they cannot legally do. The only person who can say whether or not you getting sued is the court. Oh, I'm gonna come take your money. I'm gonna come do this, and no, they can't tell you none of that over the phone. It's a threat. Not only that, is an empty one, because statute of limitations for New York State now is 3 years, and the debt was like, I want to say it was probably like 6 years old or about to be 6 years old. They ended up getting a lawyer and suing, because, whenever they violate the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, you're entitled to money with that. You're welcome. You ever seen that TikTok when a debt collector call and the guy says, this is a year old? She said, tell him happy birthday. No, what? What's your approach to paying off debt and saving? I think that looks different for everybody. That all depends on a lot of things, such as, my history with my relationship with money. My history with my relationship with myself, me and my spouse. It depends on what kind of debt I have. How much money am I able to save due to, what is my cost of living? Am I living above my means? Am I living below my means? All of that stuff plays a part in it. I don't really like giving budgeting, like blanket budgeting advice to people. I prefer like sitting down and talking to people and really understanding them, because just like, anything else, like how I handle things and how someone else handled things are different because of the relationships that we have with money, the things that we were taught coming up, the things that we were taught in school, et cetera, et cetera. So I can't sit here and give you blanket budgeting advice other than, pay your bills and have a rainy day fund. But anything more specific than that, I try to stay away from. Because I will never forget when that girl like tried to drag me because I told her mama was wrong. I ain't say it like that, but this was a while ago. Like she real deal cussed me out because I said that credit cards are not for emergencies. Credit cards were never designed for emergencies, and the fact that she uses her credit card for emergencies is one of the things that's perpetuating the cycle of low income in her life. All she heard was I called her fucking broke, and she had a fucking fit. But that was when we had the conversation. I don't know how long some of you been following me, but that was when we had the conversation about how things that, our predecessors did to survive financially are not the same things that we should be doing, because the economy is different, technology is different, society is different. A lot of our older generations are very untrustworthy of systems and stuff like banks and things like that, because back then, y'all think we got it bad now. It was a lot worse back then. And for most people, they didn't even get access to bank accounts until the Civil Rights Act of what was that, 1964 was passed. And that forced them to stop discriminating against people based off the color of their skin. And so a lot of families, this generation is really the first one to actually sit down and be like, wait a minute, what are we doing? We really need to figure this out. Like, how can we move ahead instead of just being so distrusting? I know older Black people who put their money in a mattress still. Is the FCA book available for anyone? It's telling me when I went online last week after somebody said it to me, you can't put an order in. It said they're on back order or something like that. I just got some more, but it's not a lot. And I think I got 2 or 3 more people in my email who said they wanted me to mail it to them. So those will be going out this weekend. And then whatever I have left, I'll let you guys, I'll put on Instagram and you guys could claim it and I'll just mail it to you. Yep. And same with bank loans. They trusted you over word of mouth, but for FICO. Yep. Yep. So true. Hold on, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting to flip through the different ones because I'm live on like 5 different pages. Okay. Go back. Okay. What other questions y'all got since we winding down? I went and saw Doctor Strange last night. And I mean, it was all right for a Doctor Strange movie. I would go, I would say go see it, I guess. I ain't gonna spoil it for y'all though. Oh, thank you. Oh, let me ask y'all something. We only got all right, yeah, we down to a little bit of people. Let me ask y'all something. So I'm putting together the course and stuff. And I'm going over like really, really important stuff that I want y'all to have a copy of it. Would you rather have a physical copy of something or a digital copy of something? That's just a random question. Can y'all put what about what black card? I don't talk about shit I can't afford, and that black card is on the list of shit I cannot afford, child. Sight. But what's up? Digital. Okay. I'm having a hard time removing an address because it's attached to a closed account and we don't have an updated driver's license. Do you have a passport? Digital, I save everything to my laptop. Okay. Like what you want to know about it? No, like in all seriousness, like In all seriousness, the black card is not something I aspire for towards, because I only aspire for things that I can get. I don't make enough money, because this for the black card, it's not just about, how much credit you got available to you. It's about how much money are you bringing in as well. And baby, I ain't making that kind of money. I sent that and they haven't said nothing back. So this is what I want you to do. On my page, I have something known as an enhanced personal information update. Um, enhanced personal information update letter. It's a video on my TikTok. You go ahead, scroll a little bit. I'm gonna try to see if I can find it so I can bump it up on a playlist. But if you find it before me, watch that. All you're gonna need is a free Equifax, a free Experian account. And what it's gonna do is it's going to show you the relationship that the address has with an account to help you kind of destroy the relationship. Um, how do I explain it? So, and the back door of Experian, I know listen, we do not dispute online, but the back door of Experian allows you to see the relationship between different personal information. And then, yeah, so if you do that, and then dispute using that information, and then try, what you need to do is be like, I'm not sure why this information keeps populating. This is maybe like my cousin's address. Now I believe that I am a victim of a merged credit file. Like, you want to lay it on heavy to get that account removed, because just because a family member has lived there, right, doesn't mean that I lived there. You need to prove that I have lived there at some point in time. And a lot of times they can't do that. And so they'll go ahead and take it off. And even if the address all of a sudden repopulates, like after that, then what'll happen is the address number will be different. I'm sorry, the address number will be different, and it won't match. So then when they go to verify the information for that account and they looking at this address, the address numbers won't match, and it's easier to get removed after that. It pulls up a paper that says please send an ID. This means that they're having a problem identifying who you are. I would just wait till you update your driver's license, then it pulls up a paper that says, whoa, yeah, wait. Whoa, hold up. The credit bureau is telling you that, right? Not the creditor. The credit bureau is asking you to send in more information. It could be that maybe they're having a hard time validating your information. Yeah, Experian. Yeah. So that's all that is. So, I mean, once you do that, you don't got to do it no more. I had to do it too. For some reason, it still had me living overseas, and I'm applying for accounts. And I'm like, sorry, we don't service your area. My area? What the hell are you talking about? It's one paragraph that says, please send in an ID. Yeah, so then I would just wait until you update your ID. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, the other half of this sandwich is smelling so good, y'all. Y'all got some more questions? Because otherwise, I'm finna eat. If the company can't validate, then what should I do? If they can't validate, then the account comes off automatically, because they know that they can't report an unvalidated debt. Yeah, it's the same one. I'm drinking the same one. It's fine. It's one. I've been sipping on the same one the whole time. This was with my lunch. So technically, I've been sitting on this for a while. I'm glad Nate not on here, because Nate definitely would have told me about myself. Was y'all on here when my mother got on Instagram and told me, was trying to make me get off and get some rest? Like, miss, that's my job. What is you doing? I sent the debt validation letter. The apartment complex, they took it off TransUnion and Equifax, but not Experian. So just give it a little bit. Experian might take a little bit longer, but they're also not entitled to remove it just because everybody else did. Now, what you could do is whatever was the reason that you got the removals, because whenever something comes off, they're supposed to tell you why. So if it was removed like because they couldn't prove it, then you can take that evidence and send it into the Experian to have it off. But what you also want to be careful with is something known as a soft removal. A soft removal is when you dispute something and it comes off right away. A lot of times I tell people, don't get excited. Wait until you see what you get in the mail, because what often has happened is that it'll come off because they're investigating. And so during the investigation, it can't report. And then if they can never prove it, then it'll never pop back up. However, if they do prove it, it could pop up. So it could be that maybe they have not reported to Experian the fact that they've investigated, or that they are still investigating, or even that the item was removed just yet. Give it a little bit of time. And if you don't hear anything back from them, go ahead and reach out to them and be like, hey, okay, they had duplicated accounts of two different companies. Yeah. So if that's the case, then you'll take that evidence and send it into the Experian specifically, like, all right, take this shit off now. What can I do if my CLI won't be approved because they're seeing a missed payment somewhere, but I don't have any? Then you will formally request a copy of your payment history, and they're going to send you the history associated with the entire account, so that you can see exactly what late payment they sent. When paying a charge-off / closed with lender, should we update address info first? It doesn't matter. I mean, I would say yes, only because if when you go to make the payment, you want to update your address to whatever it is now. That way you could remove the previous address, but then you are now tying this new account to your new address. So make sure you plan on being here for a while. To be clear, did you say there's a way to check Experian app to see accounts connected with address? You're not going to be able to see it on the app. You'll have to do it on the desktop. Yes, and it will show you the relationship between your certain personal information and the accounts that they're tied to. So any account that used this specific address, you'll be able to see that. It's kind of like a little backdoor access. It's not from that company, though. I don't know where they are seeing it. TransUnion has no report of a missed payment. So then you're gonna have to go through all your accounts one by one. If it's really that important to you, you're going to have to go through all your accounts one by one and request the payment history associated with them if you can't find it, to find out who is reporting a late payment on you, because they're not pulling it out of nowhere. You just got to find out where. You could always pull your LexisNexis report, because that shows you accounts that don't even show up on your credit report, because there is information about you that is available from third parties or whatever. And just because it doesn't pop up on the credit report doesn't mean it's not playing a role in certain situations. So you can even request a copy of your LexisNexis. You're so welcome. It's Apple. They annoying. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. They're annoying. What else y'all got from me? I'm doing real good with switching between everybody, making sure everybody's questions getting answered. I'm keeping it up. You know what I want to do today? What time is it? It's about to be 4:00. All right, so check this out. It's 20 people live on TikTok, 3 people on YouTube, 1 person on Facebook, and 3 people on Instagram. What I'm going to do is listen very, very carefully, because you have to follow all of the steps. I am going to make a post on Instagram, immediately after I get off of this live. What I want you to do is I want you to like the Instagram post, and then email me your email address. And I'm going to pick, I don't have a specific amount in my head. It just depends on how long we go. I am going to pick people and I'll do it. Sorry, I don't know if y'all saw the comment. Somebody was like, how come you don't do live audits? I normally don't do it because some people don't like their business. I mean, we're not telling all your business, but some people just not comfortable with that. But if you don't mind, and I mean, it's completely free, you ain't got to pay for it. That's $100 in your pocket, because that's how much my audits cost. So if you want an audit done, I got some time today. Everybody is going to be regulated to about 20 minutes max. But I'm going to be picking people at random. I'm going to be picking people at random to do live audits. So I'll make a post on Facebook about it. On Instagram about it. I keep saying Facebook. I'm going to make a post on Instagram about it. Share it with your friends, tag your family, whoever the hell. Y'all know, and then when we do our Friday night lives, I be live for like 3-4 hours sometimes. So, as many people as I can get in, I'll go ahead and do them. But we'll do live audits. We won't expose none of your personal information up on the screen or anything like that. But people can kind of hear how the audit goes, and you never know. Maybe you have a situation that somebody else is going through that kind of relates to you. You can go through it. So we'll do that. I've never done it before, but YOLO, I guess. Is there an app or website to compare our 3 credit reports? Yes, there's quite a few of them. First, you need to be able to identify what credit score are you looking for specifically, because different things look at different credit scores. For example, if I'm opening up a credit card, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be looking at my FICO 8 credit card score. If I'm buying a car, they're going to be looking at my FICO 8 auto score. If I'm going to go buy a house, they're going to be looking at my FICO 2, my FICO 4, and my FICO 5. So you need to first identify what is your goal, like what are you working towards, what score should you be monitoring, and then that's going to kind of narrow down what app or website to use to monitor that score specifically. So when a creditor closes an account for any reason, why are they not penalized? Because you give them the right to close an account for any reason when you sign the contract with them. They won't agree to remove my collections. Can I just pay it? You can just pay it, but it won't be removed and you won't get points back. What is an audit? So one of the services that I provide is something called a credit audit, which is where you and I sit down on Zoom and we go over your entire credit report from top to bottom, personal information all the way down to creditor contact information. I tell you exactly what's wrong, what's holding you back, how to fix it, as well as some specific rebuilding strategies that I think would work for you based off of what I've seen on your credit profile. I'm a board certified credit repair specialist, credit score consultant, and credit improvement specialist. So I can look at your credit score and your credit report and give you the advice you need to kind of get to where you're trying to go. And that way people can also see how they go. I realized nobody knows what happens on the audits outside of the reviews I have on Google. Is it true Identity IQ now shows real FICO scores? Yes. And it's about to come out on Smart Credit too. Should I apply with Navy Federal if my credit score is a 647? I have 1 late payment showing. That's not enough for me to say whether or not you'll get approved. But I am a firm believer in if you think you qualify, apply. The worst thing they can do is tell you no. And if they tell you no legally, if you apply for something and your credit is used in the determination of that decision and they say no, right? They have to send you something that's known as an adverse action notice. This adverse action notice has to outline exactly what on your credit profile made them tell you no. And you'd be surprised what's on there. So, and a lot of people, when we get these denial letters in the mail, we throw them in the trash because it's like they telling us no twice. But it's very, very, very valuable, especially if this is one of your gold credit cards or accounts, whatever the case may be. You can read your declination letter and then just like kind of hyper focus on those items one by one. Ghetto superstar. That is what you are. Now listen, y'all gonna have a head start on everybody else. Because I'm about to get off in like I'm gonna give y'all another 15 minutes and then I'm gonna get off because I usually get back live. I go back live around 8, so that's gonna be 4 hours to just go run around and do stuff. But this means that y'all gonna have a head start on everybody else. So make sure y'all do what I told you to so that you can be in the consideration. Because if you don't follow all steps, I'm not doing it. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I got time today and I'm feeling really, really good. I'm refreshing Instagram repeatedly. I'm not doing it till we get off. So wait till we get off and then refresh. And I'll put it on my story too, so that if you don't see it on your feed, once I post the story, it'll put me back at the front if you follow me on Instagram. And you'll be able to click on the post from there. Give us the instructions again, like and send email. Yep, just gotta like the picture and then send me your email address. That's it. That is it. I ain't posted the pictures yet. So don't go liking all my pictures trying to figure out which one it is. I haven't posted it yet. It's specifically going to say we're doing live audits. the post is going to be mad obvious. Oh, guess what? Guess what? What? I love capital letters. What? Somebody said OMG Marquia. Guess what? What? Damn you, TikTok, and you can only post so many letters in a comment. Right? She looking with the eyes like, shit, we want to know too. What? Oh my God, this is killing me. Oh, I went to my car to clean it and came back upstairs, and the FCRA book is sitting at my door. Oh, yay! I'm so happy for you. You want to see mine? Mine's right here. Mine's right here because y'all know I was working on my court stuff yesterday. Ah, yes. Ah, I know you happy. And if you ever order one from me, you literally just get this, and then it comes with this inside. For those of y'all who have never seen my business cards before, these are my business cards. I love my babies. Oh, thank you for the rose. I love my business cards. Y'all should have seen me. I was so nervous in DC passing these out, but everybody was like, "Oh my God, they're so cute." Made me feel good. But yeah, so if you ever order one of these from me, this is what he's referring to. This is a hard copy of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. You can order them yourself at ftc.gov. However, right now they said they're not accepting orders because they're backed up. But I have a couple extra copies downstairs. I gotta finish. I think I like 2 or 3 more people who had emailed me saying that they would like a copy. And so I'm gonna mail those out, and then I'll tell y'all exactly how many I have, and then I'll do another one where I mail it to you. No, it's available to anybody. This is public information. It's completely free. And you can even get a lot more than this. I'm going to bring my duffel bag upstairs for the 8 o'clock live so y'all can see. And this is just some of the information that I got. When I tell y'all the box was so big, they had to get a dolly to take it off the UPS truck. It was big and it was heavy because I probably ordered multiples of every single thing that they offered. But they have information on how to claim identity theft, how to get debt collectors to stop calling you, how to opt out of credit reporting agencies. There's a lot of information and it's all free. All of this is public information and it's free. You don't even got to pay for shipping. And if you want a digital copy, you can just look online. As long as it's the purple one for the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you good to go. I signed up for Credit Repair Cloud and got a big box of stuff, but I couldn't start the business. I heard a lot of people got a big box of stuff when they signed up with Credit Repair Cloud. I don't have Credit Repair Cloud. I wish I known they was giving shit away. I love free stuff. Oh man. Oh yeah. Especially when you're just launching a business like this. Oh my God, it's so demanding. What you get when you started? Look, I gonna make a free account. It's supposed to rain today. Y'all got any more questions? I got about 5 more minutes left. Before I hop off of here. Nope, going just a shirt that say Credit Savior and a book on basic disputes. Ooh. Where did you go to get certified in doing what you're doing? You don't have to go anywhere. So to become a credit repair specialist, technically there's no certifications that are required. The ones that I took were completely optional. I want to say that. You do not have to take these to tell people that you are a credit repair specialist. Each state has its own requirements, but none of them require the certifications that I have. I have the credit improvement certification, the FDCPA, which is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act certification. I have the FCRA certification, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. I'm also a board certified credit repair specialist and credit score consultant. Live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Whenever I post the time, you guys, it's going to be Eastern because I'm Eastern. But yeah, so we're going to be going live at 8 tonight. I got to remember to bring my duffel bag upstairs. It's literally sitting behind my van because I was supposed to bring it upstairs yesterday. I'm surprised my husband ain't cussed me out about it yet, actually. He must not have been in the garage. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to do, can I do my boyfriend and I for the sweepstakes? Yeah, but you got to submit 2 separate email addresses. So your email address and then send a separate little message with his email address. That's what we're going to be doing at 8. Not my mother calling me in the middle of my live. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the live short because my mama's calling. But all right, so I'm about to get off and do it now. The picture is going to be posted in 5 minutes or less, so y'all stay tuned, okay? No, I'm gonna be posting it on I'm gonna be posting it on Instagram. It's gonna be on Instagram. I gotta call my mama back. All right. All right. So let me call my mother. Then I'm gonna make this post, and then I'm gonna see y'all at 8 tonight. Okay? Deal? Deal. I see y'all later.